All right, everyone, welcome to today's retail industry event. And allow me to introduce you to our guest speaker today, Ben Liegey. He is an executive MBA candidate and co-founder of Rethink2gether, a food sustainability consultancy based in Vancouver, Canada. Originally from France, he has 9 years of experience consulting for organizations throughout the food supply chain. He has worked in Belgium as a sustainability coordinator for Ahold Delhaize, the world's most sustainable retailer according to the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, piloting the food loss and waste protocol in 2016. In North America, he gained experience at spud.com, that's spud.com, a B Corp certified online food retailer, proud to be the lowest waste retailer in Canada. During the pandemic, Ben has become the first accredited consultant for the Pledge on Food Waste in Canada, supporting the hospitality industry in reducing food costs by 3 to 7%. Rethink2gether is now on a mission to inspire food businesses, consumers, and decision makers to see that food is too valuable to waste and to help them make wiser choices. Food surplus is a global opportunity worth $700 billion. Join us to learn how retailers can take action to increase the bottom line while having a positive impact. Ben, over to you.
Thank you so much, Greg, for this introduction, and thank you to Quantic for offering me this opportunity to speak. And it's definitely a huge topic, like sustainability, especially this month, as it's the months related to sustainability, and there is a huge opportunity across the food supply chain, and especially we're going to tackle here the subject of sustainable retailing. So first, before we start, I'd like to acknowledge that this webinar is recorded on the unceded territory of the Squamish Tsleil-Waututh people, like we are based in Vancouver, Canada. And I just want to acknowledge that all historically and traditionally, all decisions were made taking into account the next 7 generations. So you already presented me, but so I just finished all my submissions, so I'm waiting for the results in May. So looking forward to that. I have a background in food and environmental sciences back in France. And yeah, I've developed my expertise in food waste prevention and climate change. So to really be able to support different organizations across the food supply chain. And as Grace mentioned, so at Rethink2gether, we are on a mission to help and inspire food businesses, consumers, and decision makers to see that food is too valuable to waste, supporting them to make wiser choices. And also, this is aligned with our vision to create a world where avoidable food waste no longer exists. So first, why talk about food surplus? Why talk about food waste? Food waste is actually a huge issue across the world because 1/3 of food produced is never eaten. And this is across the world globally. And in Canada, it's even worse. It's 58% of food produced, which is never eaten. And avoidable food waste, according to the Boston Consulting Group, is worth $700 billion. And that's only avoidable food waste. And talking about the opportunities for retailers, basically an average food retailer spends more than 1% of net sales of unsold food. And this can seem not that much, but when you have like a huge operation, it's like really a significant of money that can be like saved, and that's definitely a great thing to improve the bottom line. And on top of this, it's also good for the bottom line, but it's also good for the environment because food waste is accounting for 8% of total CO2 emissions. 8% of CO2 emissions globally are linked to food waste alone, which is a huge impact on the environment. And so when we talk about sustainability, usually food waste is really underestimated. And if food waste were a country, it would basically be the third largest greenhouse gas emitter after China and the US, which is just crazy, but it's also very powerful because it's something that we can act on. We don't need to wait 10 years to have a technology that is going to be super expensive to act on the number one solution to fight climate change. Because I also advise you to have a look at the Project Drawdown. It's one of the world's like scientific studies that have been gathering experts around the world around climate change to look at the top solutions to fight climate change. And they've been identifying and found that in the top 20 solutions to fight climate change, 8 are linked to food, and the number one is ending food waste. So it's just like very powerful, and I think there's a lot of hope behind this, because this is, yes, it is more impactful than plastic waste, than electric cars, or than solar panels, but it's something that we can implement right away, and that can have a huge impact on the environment. It's also time for action, because change is happening, and it's happening fast. Like here you can see different countries who've implemented targets at the national level to be aligned with SDG 12.3. So it's one of the Sustainable Development Goals. So food waste is such a big issue that it has its own Sustainable Development Goal to reduce food waste by 50% by 2030. And so here, like you can see, like various countries who've been already putting like high goals related to that, and it's definitely going into the right direction, and we need to push for more ambition. So where is food waste happening across the food supply chain, and especially avoidable food waste, because that's what really like where we have the biggest opportunity. So here you can have an idea of where are the biggest opportunities across the food supply chain in Canada. So this is the Canadian statistics based on a study that has been made across the country in 2019. And you can see that the retail industry accounts for 12% of total avoidable food waste across the food supply chain. And so it's a huge opportunity, because in Canada alone, it's $6 billion that can be saved. But it's also great to see the overall picture and to see that, yeah, for example, in restaurant and food services, it's actually the opportunity is even bigger. And this is some like often underlooked, and there is this conception that all food waste is happening at the retailer. Yes, there is a lot of opportunities in terms of food waste prevention at the retail level, but there are many other opportunities at other stages of the life cycle chain. And at home as well, like in Canada, for example, an average household can save $1,100 on average per year. So there are also like great savings that can be made at the consumer level at home. So the whole thinking about food waste prevention is to really, it's a mindset shift, because usually like many people think about food waste that, oh, I'm composting, or like I'm doing food donation, which is great, and we need to compost, and we need to retailers to have food donation program, and this is extremely important, but that's not where you have the biggest return on investment. The biggest return on investment is when you rethink your procedures, and when you reduce and prevent food waste, even before having to think about composting or donating this food to feed people. And definitely the retail industry, because I've been working, I've seen the retail industry and the hospitality industry, and the retail industry is more mature related to this topic. There is much more food donation and food waste recycling compared to in restaurant, for example. But still, the size of the problem is so big that there are still huge improvements to be made. And there is a business case for it. So the World Resource Institute has developed different studies with Champion 12.3 12.3 referring to the SDG 12.3, which is the like a link to food waste. And so they've been doing a study across 17 countries, including more than 700 companies across the food supply chain. And what they found is for an average retailer, every $1 invested in food waste prevention is yield a return between $5 to $10. So an average of $7 return after 3 years for $1 invested. So investing in like measuring food waste, like tracking devices, training staff, improve your inventory management, and just change the way you also think about your purchasing practices. And we're gonna see a few examples later on. But as the benefits associated with it, it's not only reduced waste management costs, but also maximizing and finding other ways to generate revenues, and of course avoiding cost of food that is not sold. And I advise you, if you're interested, to check out the report. It's extremely insightful. So what is wasted and why? Where is all this money going? So basically here you can see some statistics from the US. You have the value of food surplus in the US retail alone is $37 billion, which is a huge amount of money. And when you look at the split by food types, it's the main reason is produce, even like that's 29% of all food surplus in the US retail industry. And by causes, there's like the main reason is the date labels. So there is a huge opportunity as well in rethinking the way date labels are implemented in the industry. And same, this is like data from inside, like if you go on eatside.refed.com, you will have access to a lot of food waste data across the US. You can even dig into per industry, per state. It's very insightful, and I highly advise you to have a look if you have the time. So I hope I didn't provide too many numbers, but I would like to share a little bit of insights on like how you as a retailer or you as a consumer, like we have a focus more here on the retail sector. What can you do and implement into your operations, and to see some examples of positive actions that are being undertaken around the world. So here, one action that can be done is to launch educational campaigns and to really be very much closer to your consumer, your customers, and that's also a great way to build loyalty and to that, because the customers will be much more attracted to come back to your brands if you are having this sustainability mindset. And so here you can see a few brands who are doing some educational campaigns to help consumers reduce their food waste at home. Like we have Kroger in the US, who is doing a great work related to food waste. Walmart has implemented a few actions as well. And in Canada, Love Food Haste Waste Canada is a national campaign actually to get some inspiration of what you can do at home. And they've been partnering with many retailers, including surveys, to really build these tips that can be enabling consumers to fight food waste at home. Another action that you can implement is to improve your inventory management. Because this is key, like being able to control your food costs and your shrink is extremely important. And here I wanted to share an example of spud.ca, spud.com now, who just became public actually with the Fresh Local Solutions. They are also a B Corp, and they are the lowest waste grocery in Canada. And they've been implementing technology to really enable to provide some local and organic food to consumers at a reasonable cost, and really to be by controlling how much of the inventory is being really well managed thanks to like a technology, and the FoodX technology. Basically, it's a e-commerce scalable solution that can be implemented to basically share the space of a warehouse. So they have a warehouse where multiple retailers can be involved, and to it's think about it like the car sharing, but for grocers. So you can have your food delivered with multiple grocers to also limit the carbon footprint of the delivery as well. Another thing you can do is to rethink your produce specification, and this has been happening like in different countries. Like there was a huge campaign in France with Intermarché, who was doing this great picture on the top right hand corner, and it's really like thinking about, there is a lot of produce that is in the farm and which is as tasty as the other produce. They just look a bit different, but there is a great opportunity here to buy cheaper produce, and which is just maybe a little bit misshapen, a little bit imperfect, but is as good, and it's a win-win as well, because like, for example, personally, I'm buying these imperfect bananas, and it's a great way because I'm having a direct impact in the supply chain by saving these bananas. Like the retailer is going to save money by selling something that he would donate or worse, compost. And it's also a way to have access to cheaper bananas this way as well. So it's really a win-win scenario. And in the retail industry, there is so much product specifications, like we need the tomatoes to be perfect, and like the cucumber, if they are not in the perfect shape, they are just tossed away. So it's a great way to have an impact in the supply chain and to work hand in hand with the suppliers. Another action that you can do is to design your new products using the circular economy. And I'd like to share a few examples here, namely with bread, because bread can be a huge proportion of the amount of food waste generated by a retailer. It can be like 30% of total food waste generated by a retailer. So here, like, there are some innovative projects. On the left, you can see a project that happened in Belgium. It's a Brussels beer project. So it's a brewery who's been partnering with a retailer to basically grab the unsold bread from this retailer, crush it into like a powder, and then using it in the production, and using it as an ingredient to make their beer, which is eventually sold in the same retailer. So it's like a complete loop, which is a beautiful story, and so there is a great opportunity here to create value with surplus food. Another example on the right-hand side is Explicit. So it's a French company who's been basically providing this machine to crush bread as well and to make flour out of it. And then this flour, you can repurpose it and use it as ingredients to make tasty cookies who are very delicious. And that's a great way to find other ways to use your surplus food. Another action you can implement is to track your food waste, because you only manage to measure. And when this represents so much amount of money, it's really key to be able to track that. So there are different solutions on the market. There's like LeanPath, or Winnow, or Food Intel Tech. With some are like more tech intensive than others, and more like LeanPath, for example, is being used at different retailers, and Kroger is using Reno. So this is they have like a camera, so you need to buy a device where it actually recognizes the food you're wasting, and so with AI, they are able to give you insights. We at Rethink2gether, we've partnered with Liegey to provide food intel tech. So it's an easy tech solution to be able to understand why food is wasted, when is it wasted, where is it wasted, and to really understand what's going on in your operations, and to be able to take decision based on data and not based on, I think I don't have food waste, which is too much the case, unfortunately. And so this app is more tailored to like a food service operation, a bit less than for a retailer, except if you have like a food service operation in your retail location. But if you were ever interested to trying it for free, or if you know any restaurant who would be interested to reducing food costs, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And the last thing I wanted to share with you is like one option as well is to become certified for the Pledge on Food Waste, which is a certification program we are proposing here in Canada, but it's an international certification program. Again, it's more focused on the food service operation, but many retailers have food service operations as well. And so it's really a great way to cut costs, save food, and access new customers, because there are 4 different levels of certification program. And think about it like the Michelin stars, but for food waste. So depending on how well you are implementing actions in your operations, you can have different levels of recognition, and you are able to share that with your consumers to build trust. So have a look at the Pledge on Food Waste. And so last, I would like to share like at Rethink2gether. So for food businesses, we offer like consulting expertise, technology, and the certification program to improve not only financial, but also sustainability performance. And an average business, an average Canadian food service business can reduce food costs by 3 to 7% and food waste by 20 to 40% after only 12 months. So that's think about food waste as a great opportunity to do something good while saving money. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope you learned something about food, and I would like to invite you to check out our website. We have some free toolkits as well for consumers, and let's rethink food waste together.